Hi, I'm Beth and
And I'm Katie Taylor.
and welcome to the Junior Tennis Talk. Today, we're going to provide an overview of junior rankings. As we've gone through the summer, um, players are playing a lot of tournaments, and consequently, we're fielding a lot more phone calls about junior rankings. And so, we thought it might be helpful to give a quick overview of the world of rankings, but also understand that as you're listening to this, questions may come up. And Katie and I are always happy to chat with you over the phone. So please reach out as those questions arise, and we'd love to walk you through it. All right, the national junior rankings, while they're important, the main use of the rankings, and as you'll see as we go through this, there are different types of ranking lists. But the main purpose is for entry into a tournament and how players will be seated in that tournament. Rankings will vary from tournament to tournament based on the level of that tournament and the type of draw format that is being used. And players will earn points based on match results. Katie will get into that in a little bit, but players can earn ranking points based on points per win and points per round. And as I said, Katie will expand on that point. And then ranking points are updated weekly. Currently, ranking lists are updated on Wednesdays mornings. That potentially could change in the future, but at this point, I haven't heard anything about that. So for those of you that are a little more seasoned, you're probably used to going on Wednesday mornings and pulling up the most recent rankings list. And as you do that, that's usually on Wednesdays and usually around the time that Katie and I will start building phone calls. All right, so today we're going to go through how to find the ranking information. It can be very confusing, especially if you or your player are somewhat new to USTA junior tournaments. Navigating your way through and identifying the different types of lists and what information is on that list and what it's used for can be a bit confusing sometimes. The type of list, like I said, can determine tournament to tournament. They might use a different list for entry and they might use a different list for seeding. And ranking points. So sometimes confusion comes in that someone thinks they should have gotten more points, but actually didn't get as many because of the type of format that was used. So Katie will run through that in more detail. And then we'll get into if you feel there is just a mistake in your ranking, then what are the next steps? So with the ranking search, if you're looking at this on YouTube, you can use this QR code to join me on USTA.com. So this is really, unless you have been here before and bookmarked this page, this is your starting point. So I always hover over play, and then I go down here to junior rankings. All right, so the information we have here, pretty straightforward. As we will get into a little bit, if you wanted to see the ranking points and how on the tables, this is where you would go, the bonus point table. This FAQ is very helpful. So oftentimes, if you come to us for anything, but you may find the answer to your question with the FAQ. There's also, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and click on that and share. So on this FAQ too, if you at any point forget what we talked about today or want a bit more detail, there is a tutorial video here. If you've ever received an email from me, I also have a link to this video under my signature line. I think it's a good video to watch as a refresher, especially if you've been playing high school tennis or are new to USTA junior tournaments and there's been a gap of time since you've had to really dive into rankings. So we'll go back. All right, can you see me? Do I need to show? Yep, okay. And then as Katie will get into, if we do feel there's a discrepancy in your ranking, then this is the button that you would push in order to report that ranking discrepancy. All right, ranking list. How do you find them? So as I said, I'll go through the different types of lists and what they mean, but primarily based on the tournament, if you're looking to find more information on how your player ranks and stacks based on the entry criteria or the seeding criteria, that will be dependent on which list is being used. So for Missouri Valley, we use the combined national standings list. So you would select the ranking list that you're looking for. You would look at the gender, whether you want the girls or boys. For today purposes, we'll just select boys. And then you need to look at the division or the age of the ranking list that you're looking for. So you may have a boys 14 who's playing in a boys 16 tournament. So you'd want to look at the boys 16 and under ranking list, because that is the list that we would use to determine entry into the boys 16 age division. Then over to the left, you can search by your player's name here. And when you do that, those lists will populate here. So that's a quick and easy way to find your kiddo's ranking. Additionally, from week to week, this is if you feel like, what was the shift in their ranking this week? Why did it go up so much, or why did it go down when you're expecting it to go up? It's always good to compare the previous week's ranking. So you can toggle between various ranking lists depending upon the information that you're looking for. So as of today's Tuesday, we are not going to have information on the most recent ranking list. So at least not this week. So we're going to go to last week's list. Additionally, you're able to filter that ranking list by section, or you can look at all of them. So we're just going to kind of choose a random kiddo here and go to their page. So on this about page, it's just going to give us a general overview of this player, primarily their WTN singles and WTN doubles rating. But this is where you could dive in for more information. So the results here, you'd want to go to the all match results for USTA tournaments. We'll look for the 2025 year. And then you're being able to see what are the players' results based on these different ranking lists here. So again, in Missouri Valley, we use a national standings list, the combined. So this is the list I would look at. And this is going to show the players' best 6 tournament results. And if you wanted to dive that down even further, again, you have all the different publication dates here that you can look at. And then we can get a little bit more nitty-gritty into the ranking information as well. So again, these are all the different types of ranking lists that have been published or this player has appeared on. So we'll go to the boys 16 standings combined. And that's just going to give us their overall standing on that list. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. Oh, go ahead, Katie.
Can I add? If you're logged into your player's profile, it does break it down a little bit more, but because we're on the public facing side of the USTA website, you only get to see those specific numbers too. So
yeah, and thank you, because Katie and I, without having your specific login information, cannot share somebody's personal profile with you. But yes, she's correct. Thank you, Katie.
Yeah.
All right. So again, we're going to dive into these different types of lists. I'm going to talk about the combined national standings list. Katie's going to take over with the singles and the double seeding list, and I'll take it from there. The combined national standings list. As I said, section to section, there are some differences on what list sections use for entry into their tournament and for seeding. We like to use the combined national standings list because we want to put an emphasis on doubles as well. We feel like doubles is a very important part of a player's development. Also, as points roll on or off, being able to get credit for those doubles wins, even though it's only 15% of your ranking points, is important. So that's why we use the combined national standings list. Then the ranking points on this list are going to be a player's best 6 tournament results. And it's going to be over a rolling 12-month period. So tomorrow, as an example, when they do that rankings run, any ranking points that were earned in 2024 prior to, or perhaps whatever that weekend would have been, so August 16th through 17th, I'm not sure on those dates. If results from one of those tournaments is one of your best 6 results, those points are going to roll off your player's record. That means that a tournament that was played this past weekend, if that's one of your player's best 6 results, it will replace that tournament that rolled off. Otherwise, the ranking system will look at all the other previous tournaments in the last rolling 12-month period and identify the next highest tournament that is now going to be a part of the player's best 6 tournament results. So I realize that's confusing. I'm trying to explain it clearly. Again, if you have questions as this comes up, please reach out to me or reach out to Caitee, and we can walk you through that. So again, so it's your 100% of your best tournament results played in the age division or that have rolled down from another age division. It's going to include 20% of tournament results played in a younger division will roll up to that older age division. And 15% of the ranking points earned from doubles tournaments. That list also will include bonus points, but only if it's part of your best 6 tournament results and if your player or you beat a player that was ranked in the top 500. So we'll get a little bit more nitty-gritty into that in a minute. So there are some criteria for a player to populate on a ranking list. They have to meet the age requirements. So once you age out, your player information will reside on previous ranking lists that they were published on before they aged out. But obviously, once they age out, they're not going to populate on other ranking lists moving forward. They have to be a U.S. citizen or meet the citizen requirements, and in order for your player to appear on a ranking list, this is important because it can sometimes be confusing. Your player may have played in a boys 14 tournament and earned some ranking points. So you looked on the boys 16 ranking list to see how those 20% of those points populated on that boys 16 ranking list. They won't populate until your player plays in a boys 16 tournament and has an on-court match win. So as soon as they play in the tournament and they win one match, then those points will start populating on that ranking list. So that's sometimes a question that does come up, and that's an important point to remember. All right, Caitee, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, so you'll see 2 more other types of lists that get confusing. You tend to pull. We have the single seedings list. This list, just like the combined national standings list, is the rolling 52-week year. However, it only includes your singles results. So it's just a list that's created with just singles results. Likewise, double seedings list, same idea. It's the 52-week period that we just talked about. Again, just like the national standings list, except it's only including your doubles results. So pretty simple, but.
Thank you, Caitee.
Yep.
All right, bonus points. So again, in the FAQ that was on USTA.com, there is a link to a document that gives more information on bonus points and how they work. And I've asked for an updated document based on 2025 information. I have not received it. But the gist is really somewhat the same. Just the dates might shift a little bit depending on our calendar this year. So bonus points are going to be earned on wins over players that are ranked in the top 500. So this point table right here will show you based on where that player is ranked on the bonus point publication list from the most recent month is going to determine how many bonus points are awarded. So these are going to be the publication date of the bonus points list, and it's going to show you which tournament results are going to be included on that list. So when you're trying to determine, hey, my player played somebody who was ranked 87, so they won, and they should, in theory, win 101 points, but you want to go back to this, whatever this, I guess for us, August 1st, you want to look at that bonus point publication list to look at their ranking on that list to ensure that it is in fact 87, and that will determine how many ranking points are awarded. Okay, so the caveat to the to the bonus points. So they are going to be attached to the tournament in which they are earned. So what that means is that your player may have earned, let's say, 101 bonus points for their win. However, if the overall tournament results are not part of your player's best 6 tournament results, those bonus points, you won't see them, and they won't populate until that another tournament rolls off and that tournament becomes part of your best of 6 results. And I don't know if I'm saying that clearly enough, but again, that's where they matter. So if the tournament ends up being the best 6 tournament results, then you'll see those 101 bonus points populate. So something that had happened recently, and unfortunately this does happen quite a bit, but I had a parent reach out that child had played a tournament where one of her friends had played somebody that the match had just gotten underway, and that opponent had to retire, and that opponent was ranked in the top 500. So that girl received a bonus points for that match. Her daughter, however, showed up to play a match, and her opponent had to pull out due to an injury. And so the match never started. And so it was scored as a walkover. And she wanted to know if her daughter received bonus points for that match. And the answer is no, because bonus points are really intended to show the strength of a player against another player. So it has to be what's deemed as a qualifying match. So because in essence, the match has to start and points have to be scored in order for it to be considered a qualified match. So in the event of a default, in the event of a retirement, players will receive bonus points if their opponent is in the top 500. But if it's a walkover or withdrawal, then your kiddo will not receive bonus points for that match. Okay, the sectional quota list. So I don't get a lot of calls on this except right before national championships. So every year USTA National lets our section know how many quota spots we receive. And what that means is for the national championships, they will do direct entry into the tournament up to a certain number. And then they have spots that are reserved for section quota, and they will fill those spots with section quotas players, and then after that they continue to fill the tournament with any remaining players that are eligible to enter into the tournament. Missouri Valley is determined our quota spots based on our membership numbers, but also based on where our players appear at year end on the year end ranking list. So after the entry deadline for a national level championship, a level 1 tournament, national staff sends me a spreadsheet. That spreadsheet has my players who have applied for entry into the tournament and gives me their ranking based on the sectional quota list that was used for determining quota for entry into that specific tournament. In Missouri Valley, what we do is that then I order them based on their standing on the section quota list. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on and so forth. And that's how the quota spots are awarded. Now, the difference between the section quota list and the combined national standings list is that for the section quota list, only of your best 6 results, only 2 can be from national level tournaments. On the combined national standings list, your best 6 results are your best 6 tournament results, as long as it's a USTA sanctioned junior tournament. But for the quota list, it is designed to encourage play within your section or section tournaments. And that is why only 2 national level tournaments can be part of your best of list. So I have fielded calls in the past where players like, I don't understand why this kid got the quota spot when my kid is ranked higher. Well, it's because they were comparing the rankings on the national standings list and not looking at the section quota list. And then I should go back to this. This QR code will take you to that document that I was just sharing with you. And there's a lot more information on there that you can read through, and I think you'll find helpful. But as always, once again, just reach out if you have questions. Okay, and then the year-end combined ranking list is going to be just that. It's going to look at your best 6 tournament results at year-end. The primary purpose for this, other than bragging rights for the player, is that this is one of the components that's used to determine section quota. So the more players that we have ranked in the top 500 at year end increases the chances that we receive more quota spots for entry into a national level 1 championship. All right, Caitee.
All right, I'm going to take a look at the points table here. Basically, a quick little overview of the points table is it tells you how many points you're going to win for playing a tournament that then go into your ranking. And your points are determined based on the draw format type. So Beth, if you'll take us, perfect. So basically, any sort of sanctioned USTA tournament that's played needs to follow one of these formats so that your player can get points. There's as we scroll through, there's different types of draws. So looking at, let's scroll down and go to a regular feed in through the quarterfinals draw. Feed in championships through the quarterfinals. So you'll see at the top here, we have our different levels of tournaments that go into it. And this is one of those approved draw formats that I've been talking about. You'll also notice that at the bottom there, so for the L6s over on the far right, there's a lot of NAs all the way down until you go to, that is points per win. And then we have points per round. So, and you're looking at this L6s and L7s, you get points per win. So every win that your player will have, they'll get those points and added to their standings. And then you go from L5 and above, it's points per round. So you get points based on where you end up in the draw. And that's same idea here for the round of 16. So most of our L4s and L5s are feed-in qualifiers through the round of 16 based on number of players in there. And then there's the compass draw formats in other places with some of our other tournaments. And then the flighted tournaments and team tournaments. So all of those points are on here. It's kind of a long document. Sometimes it's confusing on what tournament draw type, but usually you can find that information on our tournament homepages. So. The other thing that Beth showed us when we were doing the ranking search was if you're looking at your player's ranking and you think something's amiss, something's not right. First things first, it would be really helpful if you contact Beth or I. We can either see if, and explain if you're confused or if something's wrong there, or if we can be like, oh no, something's wrong. We need you to please contact National because we cannot fill that form out. You have to do so. So from that page, you report a rank issue. And it's a super quick, easy form. It'll take you 10 seconds to fill out. Just give your info, and then there's a little drop down that you just say, this is what I'm seeing wrong with my player's ranking. And then they'll look into it. And a lot of times either it's a bigger issue across the board, so they'll rerun rankings that night, or it'll get fixed by the next week's ranking run. So.
Yep. Thank you, Caitee. So there is a ranking form that Caitee and I can use internally to really escalate an issue. However, as Caitee mentioned, the process is we aren't allowed to do that until you complete that inquiry form. And then you have to give it a certain number of days to be addressed. And at that point, then Caitee and I can elevate it from our end. So again, it's really important to loop us in. As she said, 9 times out of 10, we're able to go in and troubleshoot and explain the discrepancy that you're seeing. But occasionally we do find mistakes that need to be addressed. So please utilize us as resources. We're here to help. Which really brings me to this point. We are here to help. So if you have questions or emails are listed here, please reach out. And I always like to make sure that we are advertising the talks that we've done previously. Sometimes players or parents are a little bit new with joining us with these tennis talks. So some of this is over and done, but certainly tournament registration overview, how tournaments are awarded, our summer kickoff, those are all great things to watch as refreshers. And we also have some great content coming up. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you are following us on USTA Missouri Valley on Instagram, as well as our junior advisory panel page on Instagram, because we will make sure that we post the talks on there monthly. So that is another way that you will be notified. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.